Good morning and welcome to PPP Canada's 6th annual public meeting. My name is Lisa Mitchell and I am the Director in Strategy and Market Development at PPP Canada. I'll be your MC for today's meeting. With me today is the Chair of the Audit Committee of the Board of Directors, Mr. Bill McMacken, as well as our CEO, Mr. John McBride, both of whom will be speaking to you today to report out on PPP Canada's 2015-16 annual report. Bonjour et bienvenue à la 6e Assemblée publique.
Good morning and welcome to PPP Canada's 6th annual public meeting. My name is Lisa Mitchell. I'm the Director of Strategy and Market Development at PPP Canada, and I will be your MC for today's meeting. With me today is the Chair of the Audit Committee of the Board of Directors, Mr. Bill McMacken, as well as our CEO, Mr. John McBride, both of whom will be speaking to you today to report out on PPP Canada's 2015-16 annual report.
First, this is a live webcast and simultaneous translation is available should you wish to follow the meeting in English or French. If you are having difficulties with this function, please click on the technical support button. A question and answer period will follow after our speakers have finished their presentations. A reminder that a recorded version of the webcast will be available on our website shortly after the meeting has ended. And should you wish to review a copy of our 2015-16 annual report, it is available through our website under the Transparency and Accountability tab at the top of the screen. Avant de commencer,
Before we begin, I'd like to address a few housekeeping items. First, this is a live webcast and simultaneous translation is available should you wish to follow the meeting in English or French. If you're having difficulties with this function, please click on the technical support button. A question and answer period will follow after our speakers have finished their presentations. A reminder that a recorded version of the webcast will be available on our website shortly after the meeting has ended. And should you wish to review a copy of our 2015-2016 annual report, it is available through our website under the Transparency and Accountability tab at the top of the page. So we'll start off this morning with an exposé from Bill McMacken, who was the chair of the Audit Committee of the Board of Directors of PPP Canada. Mr. McMacken was named to the Board of Directors in June 2009, and he's actually on the Board of Directors of Guénon Brothers Limited, and recently he was a member of the Board of Directors of the New Brunswick company Exploitant Réseau. Mr. McMacken is a partner and director of KPMG, whose business advice, income tax advice and audits were of his domains of expertise. Currently, he's the treasurer of the Turnbull Nursing Home Incorporated and Turnbull Home Foundation. In the past, he was president of the Learning Exchange in St. John and the Human Development Council and Housing Alternatives Incorporated to St. John. Mr. McMacken studied at the University of New Brunswick and received the title of a Chartered Accountant in 1964. It's my honor to present Mr. Bill McMacken. Please join me to greet him.
Lisa. Good morning and welcome to our annual public meeting. We look forward to providing you with the highlights of the corporation's successful year ending March 31-16. My name is Bill McMacken, and I am chair of the Audit Committee of PPP Canada. I am pleased to provide comment on behalf of the chair of the Board of Directors, Tony Comper, who is not available for this meeting. Thank you for joining us today. We had an extremely busy year here at the corporation, and this morning it is my pleasure to update you on our annual report. I will briefly introduce you to our Board of Directors, and our priorities are on the screen, I guess. The corporation has continued to build on its experiences and strengthened its network of expertise by working with its clients on the development of their projects and connecting with leading practitioners to stay abreast of opportunities in an evolving market. We provide advice in assessing and executing P3 opportunities at the federal level and leverage greater value for money from federal investments in provincial, territorial, municipal, and First Nations infrastructure. The Board of Directors exercises strong oversight and is committed to the sound stewardship of the corporation. Our governance is handled by the Board of Directors, As a member of the Board of Directors, I am very proud to be part of this group of 7 experienced professionals in overseeing the corporation's business. The board has a notable breadth of knowledge, experience in accounting, auditing, law, finance, management, contracting, government and policy development, engineering, construction, and the infrastructure sector as a whole. When it comes to corporate governance, the board has established committees to support the board and its work. The work of the board is managed by 3 subcommittees: the Audit Committee, of which I am chair, the Governance and Human Resources Committee, chaired by Tony Comper, and the Investment Committee, chaired by Carol Pennycook. The Audit Committee enforces the corporation's standards for behavior and integrity, oversees reporting of financial information, guides corporate financial planning, and monitors internal control systems. In addition, the committee reviews the qualifications, independence, and performance of the corporation's external auditors and oversees PPP Canada's Enterprise Risk Management Plan. The work of the corporation and the Board of Directors is subject to the overall oversight of the Auditor General of Canada. The Auditor General, jointly with external auditor KPMG, is responsible for expressing an opinion on the financial statements, which we prepare subsequent to their independent audit. To date, PPP Canada has continuously received successive unqualified opinions from its auditors. I'm very proud to report that this is PPP Canada's 7th consecutive unqualified opinion. The Governance and Human Resources Committee is responsible for the implementation of effective corporate governance principles and approval of human resource strategies and policies. In addition, this committee is also responsible for the recommendation of candidates for the board, chair of the board, and CEO of the corporation to the minister. The Investment Committee is the committee through which we review and make recommendations for investments in projects, the business of the corporation. The committee's primary responsibilities are provide oversight on a $6.6 billion portfolio of approved projects as they progress through procurement, construction, and operation. Provide oversight on project development activities of screened-in projects. Provides oversight on screening and procurement of federal projects. Corporate governance, the corporation has placed a great emphasis on building a high-performing organization. Our extremely skilled and qualified staff works to ensure the implementation of rigorous processes, procedures, and policies maintained on a level of corporate excellence second to none. We support our staff by promoting a culture of respect and integrity through the commitment to performance, management, and learning development, and implementing best practices in all that we do. Since joining the board, I've seen the corporation evolve and grow, establishing itself with all levels of government. Over the last 7 years, we have been directly engaged in the development, procurement, and operation of over 20 projects with capital costs in excess of $6.6 billion. Looking back on 2015-16, I'm quite proud of the work we have done and of our achievements. We are proud to oversee a corporation that has increased the P3 market, led the government effort in participating in alternate procurement options, contributed to a body of knowledge that has propelled learning and development in our field. We have done so while maintaining the highest standard of governance and corporate excellence. I now turn the mic over to CEO John McBride. John.
Thanks, Bill. The corporation is blessed with the quality of its board of directors, and I just want to take the opportunity to thank them for the contribution they've made. It's been fantastic to be able to work with such a highly skilled group of people. PPP Canada is about delivering value to Canadians. Over the last 7 years, PPP Canada has matured as an organization, honing in and expanding on specialized skills to assist clients across all levels of government in the delivery of increasingly large and complex infrastructure projects. We've reviewed more than 300 projects for suitability as a P3, advised on over 50 P3 business cases, performed due diligence and provided advice and guidance on the procurement of over $6 billion of provincial and municipal projects and $3 billion of federal projects. We take great pride in the quality of the advice we provide to our clients, and we work with them to share lessons learned, promote standard practices, and foster greater transparency with respect to P3s and the value for money they generate. What are the lessons that we've learned? Well, I want to share some of those because these are the things that we've learned over the last 7 years. Number one, when you're dealing with large, complex projects, you're dealing with large and complex risks. And that means there's no substitute for significant upfront planning. We have developed processes to develop quality business cases and have on our own website a guide to the developing business cases. There's nothing more important than having great costing of what you do. Again, we have developed tools to help clients have more accurate and detailed costing. There's no substitute for experienced and skilled people in the public sector. We provide that kind of skills. We share that kind of skills with people to try to develop capacity at all levels of government to undertake complex procurements. Integrated project planning. By that I mean taking the design phase together with the construct phase and operating and maintenance phase and putting it all into one package and trying to optimize the costs of delivery of infrastructure across all phases of its execution. We've also learned about the importance of running a dynamic competitive procurement process. Dynamic in the sense of being able to interact with the private sector to get their advice on what the best way to deliver that, and competitive ensuring to make sure that the public sector is getting best value for money through an open, transparent, competitive process. And our final lesson, I'd say, is the importance of having what I call skin in the game. And that means making sure that we align financial incentives by having the private sector put their own money at risk and linking our payments to performance and paying only when the risk of projects are reduced. Those 6 lessons sort of underpin what it is that we do, and it's the kind of things that are required for our large, complex projects. Turning to our next slide. Le Canada a une réputation.
Canada has a well-established reputation as one of the P3 markets that is the best developed and stable in the world. Its leading practices on value for money are specialized agencies, strong capital markets, and legal frameworks. The private sector experience and capacity, all of this are attracting countries from all over the world. Our corporation continues to receive a high number of requests from international delegations looking to learn more about the Canadian P3 experience to help build their own capacity to deliver these types of procurements to their governments. At home in 2015-16, we continued to see nearly unprecedented project value move through the P3 market. 13 P3s entered the market. 21 projects reached a financial closing for totaling a record high of over $14 billion. The country's 2 largest P3s to date are the Eglinton Crosstown Light Rail project, costed out at $4.3 billion, and it's in Toronto, and the estimated $2.2 billion new Champlain Bridge corridor in Montreal. These projects explain the significant impact of the high dollar value of the projects that reached financial closure. As far as trends are concerned, we also saw an increase in the number of large-scale projects or mega projects that are close to or over the $1 billion mark.
Provincial P3 agencies, PPP Canada has contributed to the balanced pipeline of projects we see today. We have contributed to the strength and stability of the Canadian P3 market and to its increasing diversification. Our collaborative efforts have supported an increase in market activity. To date, the corporation has supported more than $1.3 billion in investments through the P3 Canada Fund, leveraging more than $6.6 billion in public infrastructure at the provincial, municipal, and with First Nations. We've incentivized new entrants through our engagements in the incentive of the fund. We've seen an increase in first-time entrants to the P3 market. I particularly would point to municipalities. 7 years ago, there were very few municipal P3 projects, and now we see a significant participation by municipality. We've placed a heavy emphasis on the integrity of risk transfer and the robust analysis of value for money. And we provide guidance on standardizing procurement practices through the development of procurement templates. Knowledge development, as you can understand from what I've said, underpins everything we do. Developing and sharing our experience and expertise is a dominant focus of PPP Canada's business. Our knowledge development and sharing priorities have been focused on expanding our own staff's knowledge on emerging issues, increasing internal and external capacity and expertise to consider alternative procurement options, providing new jurisdictions, especially small municipalities, with guidance and tools, furthering technical understanding of risk allocation and efficiencies, and sharing knowledge and Canadian leading practices with international counterparts. We have developed and shared tools and guides based on leading P3 practices to support our clients' efforts to reduce transaction costs, streamline procurement practices, and perform rigorous value for money assessments on their projects. In particular, in 2015-16, we published a suite of guides for federal departments and agencies, among other knowledge pieces aimed at building public sector capacity to evaluate risk premiums, maintain value for money, and engage communities throughout the procurement process. Focusing in on our work with provinces, territories, municipalities, and First Nations, we saw the maturation of many projects in the last year supported through the P3 Canada Fund. 6 projects signed financial agreements, 5 projects reached financial close, and 12 projects are currently under construction. Since 2019 has confirmed $1.3 billion in investments through the P3 Canada Fund to more than 20 projects, leveraging $6.6 billion in public infrastructure with an estimated savings for taxpayers of almost $1.7 billion. We also work closely with the federal government. Top of our list for our work in 2015-16 was financial close and the start of construction on the new Champlain Bridge corridor. This is the most significant P3 project undertaken by the federal government. But that's not all that we did. We've taken a look at 10 potential projects for P3 suitability. We've worked with many departments, and we are supporting and advancing projects with departments like National Defence, Public Services and Procurement Canada, and Library and Archives Canada. In terms of corporate excellence, this has been an important priority for us. Our corporation has demonstrated a strong reputation of corporate excellence. We strive to be one of the best managed organizations in the country and have built a solid track record of success. And we will continue to deliver upon these expectations as we shift our reporting responsibilities to the Minister of Infrastructure and Community, as announced in Budget 2016. We're particularly proud of our achievements this year. We attained a strong report through the Office of the Auditor General's 2015 special exam. This exam occurs once every 10 years and is a thorough review of the management and internal control practices of the organization. The conclusions of the examination demonstrated that the corporation is a well-managed organization and that we have the systems and practices in place to build on this capacity. We also undertook a summative evaluation. The conclusions from the summative evaluation, which is an independent assessment of the first 5 years of the operation of the P3 Canada Fund, demonstrate our corporation's significant impact in fostering a cultural shift towards broader consideration of alternative infrastructure funding and financing options. We carried out the first year of a 3-year human resource strategic plan, which outlines key actions that PPP Canada will take to ensure that its short and long-term human resource activities effectively support its business priorities and objectives. We're a knowledge-based business. The quality of our people is critical to our success. While PPP Canada has always managed its expenses in a transparent account and aligning our policy, we have aligned our policies with Treasury Board to make sure that we are consistent with the expectations of our shareholder when it comes to corporate practices. Turning our attention back to the summative evaluation, PPP Canada's terms and conditions called for the summative evaluation to be conducted by the end of 2016 to examine the achievements of the first 5 years of the P3 Canada Fund. The summative evaluation covers all key components as required by our shareholder in terms of relevance, efficiency, effectiveness, and economy. We are very pleased to report the summative evaluation of the P3 Canada Fund was completed this year through independent auditors and concluded that we have succeeded in fostering a cultural shift towards broader consideration of alternative infrastructure funding and financing options, that the fund is building institutional capacity and experience to identify alternative infrastructure, financing and funding opportunities, and that we're elevating procurement standards, bringing increased rigor to the assessment, planning, and delivery of large, complex projects, ensuring that these projects deliver value for money to Canadians. The summative evaluation demonstrates that the P3 Canada Fund has been an effective tool to incent greater consideration of alternative infrastructure funding and financing options by all levels of government. But that fund by itself would not have achieved the same results without the institutional capacity of our corporation. We know that it's a combination of incentives and our expertise that really makes change. Thank you for your time. We're happy to take questions from the ether.
Thank you very much, John and Bill, for your remarks. I'd like to now open the discussion to questions from our participants. Si vous avez une question pour eux, il y a une boîte à la...
So if you have a question, there's a box on the left side of the screen where you can enter your request and communicate it to our host. We will be trying to answer to all questions within the time that we've set out.
John, you talked about the trend towards larger projects. Do you see a role for P3s in the development of smaller projects, either smaller in terms of capital costs or for smaller governments?
Well, certainly P3 is about managing complex projects, and complexity comes in various forms. Size is just one indicator of complexity. Complexity can also be measured in the experience of the jurisdiction. What's complex to somebody is may be brand new and complex to somebody else. So yes, we see it. Although I think we're going to need to think of different models for different sizes of projects. So what applies and is right in terms of a $1 billion project isn't going to apply in the same kind of way to a $50 million project.
Thank you. One other question, a little bit crystal ball. What's the next generation of assets that will be procured under the P3 model in Canada?
Well, that's a great question. The market has changed already significantly in Canada. If you look back, say, 10 years, you would have seen a market that was dominated by the healthcare sector, hospitals in particular, and sort of evolved into sort of social infrastructure, courthouses, correctional facilities. We've seen a dramatic shift towards public transit, and right now that's a very dominant sort of thing, and a shift towards water and wastewater. And we're beginning to see people look at even new areas. One example is the fiber optic link in the Northwest Territories. So there we've got an example of technology there. Social housing in Vancouver. There's a lot of debate around social housing. So there are the sectors that I think are well established, and I think they go back. I think the new sectors are starting to emerge, and they're already sort of taking off. And then we've kind of got the ones still to come.
Wonderful. Well, I'm going to say that that was very effective on both of your parts because that's all I have for questions. I'd like to thank both Mr. McMacken and Mr. McBride for joining us today and sharing their thoughts on our performance from last year. De la part de la société, je remercie chacun d'entre vous de votre
On the part of PPP Canada, I'd like to thank you both for your interest in PPP Canada's activity, as well as on PP3 markets in Canada.
and comments on today's meeting. We will be emailing everyone registered today with an evaluation form. And any further questions or comments, if something comes to anyone a little bit later, they can be submitted to PPP Canada directly at info@p3canada.ca. Thank you once again for joining us and enjoy the rest of your day.